Hi, my name is Maria Camila Guzman, and with Ana Maria Correa, Valentina Now, and Maria Camila Espina, we're going to present the special interest group of the pharmaceuticals and their lobbying in the United States. So first, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the background of the lobbying of this special group. So the first important thing to take into account is that in the 2018 elections, healthcare was one of the top issues voters and candidates seemed to care about. The second thing is that the pharmaceutical and health product industry has been consistently near the top of all the spenders when it comes to federal campaign contributions and lobby spending. The third thing is that the industry has had a boom of the federal campaign contributions and lobbying expenditures due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the efforts that the country has had to vaccinate their population. And last, the industry's political contributions increased in the years leading up to the Congress passage in 2003 of the Medicare prescription drug benefit and soared following passage of the Obamacare. In 2010, that year also saw contributions from other groups, from other spending groups that were growing, following the Supreme Court decision in Citizens United. Contributions from the pharmaceutical and health products industry jumped in each presidential election cycle since 2012. It has had an increase of around 170% comparing from a decade ago, like prior to 2020.
Okay, so now let's see where this money goes and how it is invested. On average, since 1989, we can see that 55% of the money goes to the Republican Party and 45% goes to the Democrats. However, it has not always been like this. It fluctuates. So, for example, in 2020, we saw that for the Democrats, there was an average 70%, but however, throughout the years, it has been a larger amount for the Republicans. We also found that the top recipients of this investment for 2022 till this date, it's Kathy McMorris Rogers, who is a Republican, and Scott Peters, a Democrat. Okay, so Kathy McMorris throughout this year has received a total of $384,295 US, while Scott Peters received $369,000. So where can we see how these politicians' opinions lie? So for example, Kathy McMorris has voted against HR 3, which is a bill that allows Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices. This is something that the drug and the pharmaceutical industry has been very against, and therefore we can see with both candidates that they voted against this legislation. We also see Kathy McMorris calling this type of initiatives socialist drug pricing, and that it will destroy the medical innovation and it will lead to fewer cures. Right now, she is sponsoring a new legislation to help control this. For example, she is for lowering insulin prices, but not the rest of drugs. Well, Scott Peters, even though he's a Democrat and he has tried to deny it, he also voted for against HR 3. But this is not what his electorates are for, so he does try to deny it. And when he voted against HR 3 and received the backlash, then he proceeded to say that the reason that he didn't vote for it was because it was never going to pass. So it was better to invest in some other legislation, which he's now trying to pass forward, which is a legislation that taps out the max that a person can spend on this necessary drugs like insulin or other drugs for cancer.
Okay, now let's talk about the influence of this industry. It is important to mention that this is a known dark wall because pharmaceuticals have been influencing the legislator for several years, and this is something that maybe we have not talked about it, but it is a reality. Several articles and stories have studied this and revealed that these companies have generously sponsored political campaigns and that those reach unprecedented levels. Also, why they do it, this is a mysterious. There are several speculations around this topic. One of them is that they do it because they want to avoid hard policies, also because of the increase in the price on the medicines, and third one because they need powerful people to be in favor of the drug manufacturers. It is their way to influence the laws that treat them basically, but it's also because this is something unregulated and it's something that is seen as legal and is considered as voluntary and a generous contribution. One important fact about this influence is that they represent a big part of the global economy around the world, not just in the United States, and they have a significant number of people um, working for them. So that's one of the reasons what that of the reasons because of the legislators are in favor of them.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. This act was approved in August 7, 2022. This act basically reduces prescription medication, healthcare, and energy costs. This will safeguard beneficiaries of Medicare, that is the federal health insurance managed by the US government, from paying high drug costs. So basically, Medicare it's going to have the possibility to negotiate medication costs for the very first time. It's like a little bit of context. So they seems to indicate a win for Medicaid beneficiaries because they're going to pay less for the medication they need, but it's not the case of the pharmaceutical industry. Dr. Michelle McMurray, the president of the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, said that this could result in a backward motion. She says that venture capitalists and other opponents of the bill said it immediately will halt private funding of drug discovery and development. That's why it's going to hurt innovation. Also, Steve UBL, the leader of Ubiquitous Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, also qualified this as a big tragedy. He even threatened politicians, claiming that they were going to suffer consequences if they voted in this law's favor. A little bit of backstory: in 1906, the first drug regulation agency was created, and ever since, this industry has had the same response and the same fight. The main argument is that, as stated before, if Medicare negotiations got into profits of the biggest earners from investors in risky biotech companies whose drugs rarely strike it rich, will shift some of the portfolios from pharmaceutical into other sectors. So that's why it's going to hurt innovation. There's not going to be enough like funding and budget to make like new medications and new processes. So that's like their main argument.
Okay, so after we have made this research, we found four main conclusions. The first one is that the pharmaceutics contribute has a contribution in the industry of 170%, increase from the decade prior. The second one is that the support of both political parties in the U.S. Are important because this in order to effectively influence. The third one, it falls within the legal lines and it is well received by the public due to the importance of this industry. And the last one, it's that this is a big industry and it's important worldwide. That's why the influence on the legislations. That's it. Thank you.